Good morning, students. We'll move on to the next topic, that is relations on string. So in previous class, we discussed like what exactly alphabets are, why we need to study this complete subject, what is the application of studying this subject, then what are strings, right? What is alphabet? Regarding this, we had some information. Okay, today we'll go through some more topics on strings. So that we call it as relations on string. Fine. So under this, total 6 different subtopics we have. This is very important. Total 6 marks question. Fine. They are substring, first one. Second, proper substring. Third one, prefix. Fourth, proper prefix. Then suffix and proper suffix. So questions will be, with an example, explain the concept of substring. Then you need to define what exactly substring is. Fine. And you need to prove that, or else you need to prove with an example. Fine. Okay. So we'll go through this. Substring. What exactly substring stands for? A string X is a substring of string W if and only if string X occurs continuously as part of W. Fine. So here we got two different strings. We are calling it as X and W. Fine. If string X is continuously appearing in string W, then we are calling it as X is a substring of W. Okay. So here we got one example. Just observe triple A we are having. Okay. Is a substring in string BB, triple A, BA. Fine. You can observe. So this example, triple A what we have, it is continuously appearing in this second string exactly. You need to consider this one as X and you need to consider this as W example. Fine. So substring, when we are calling it as substring, okay, if X is continuously appearing in W, okay, in any location it may be in the beginning, it may be in the middle, it may be in the last, in any location of a string W, okay, if X is appearing continuously, then we call it as X is substring of W. Fine. Okay. Second example. ABA, fine, bit different example we are having. ABA we are having is a substring in string. See, what is the W value? A, B, A, again, double B you are having. What you are looking for? ABA. Where it is residing? In the beginning itself. ABA. In previous, it was in the middle. Now it is in the beginning. Okay, it may be in last also. Fine. If X is appearing continuously in W, then X can be called as a substring of W example. Fine. Okay. Note. Here we got one note. Every string is a substring of itself. Okay. ABA double B can be called as a substring of itself. What is the condition of substring? It should appear continuously. That's it. Okay. So what value we are comparing with? It should appear continuously. Then we call it as, yes, it is a substring. So what is the condition? Every string is a substring of itself. Fine. ABA double B, okay, can be called as substring of itself. Same. Then later. The symbol epsilon is a substring of every string. Remember this. The symbol epsilon, okay, which is having a length of 0, is a substring of every string. Remember this. Okay. When you ask to write a substring of particular string. See here, if I mention or if I ask the question like write the substring for this particular string W, A, B, A, B, B. Okay. A, yes, it is a substring. B, it is also a substring. AB is a substring here. AB, AB, we are having. AB is a substring. ABA, yes, it is a substring. ABAB, it is also a substring. Double B, yes, it is also a substring. Fine, like that. And also at last, epsilon is also a substring. Remember this. Okay. Next, we have one more concept called as a proper substring. What is the difference between substring and a proper substring? We'll see that. Okay, both are much similar, but only few conditions are different. That's it. A string X is a proper substring of string W if and only if the string X occurs continuously as part of W, fine, as part of W, and X is not equal to W. This is very important. Okay, in case of proper substring, x should not be equal to, exactly equal to w. Fine. What is substring? If both are equal, then also we are calling it as, yes, it is a substring. Okay, in previous slide, we observed that like ABA is a substring of itself, example, and also epsilon. But here, what we have, x is not equal to w, means ABA is not a proper substring of ABA itself. Apart from that, everything will be called as a substring or its proper substring. Fine. Even epsilon also. Epsilon also can be called as a proper substring. Okay. But x should not be equal to w. Fine. Okay. So here we got examples. Here ABA we are having. Okay. Continuous three A's we are having. It's a proper substring in string. What we have? See here BB AAA BB. Yes. If you consider this as x, if you consider this as w, okay, whether both are equal, no, they're not. Okay, but in the middle or in some way of w, we are getting a continuous version of x exactly. So we can call triple A is a proper substring of double B, triple A, and BA. One more example we got, students. ABA we are having. So consider it as a value of x. Okay, what is the condition? X should not be equal to w. Okay, fine. We'll see that whether w is exactly equal to ABA or what. Now, ABA is not a proper substring in string ABA. According to this condition, is failed. Okay, so we are calling it as what? ABA is not a proper substring. If, observe here, if here one more A or one B if you had, like AB if you're having, then we can call like ABA is a proper substring of AB over there. But here W and X both are same. Fine. Here we got one more example. See, list all the substrings and proper substring of string hello. Fine. Okay. Here we got one word hello. For this, we need to write a substring and also proper substring. See, only difference is what? In case of proper substring, X should not be equal to W. Means hello cannot be called as a proper substring of hello itself. Apart from that, rest of all will be same. Just observe, we are beginning with epsilon. Yes. In case of proper prefix and proper substring and substring, okay, both are having a epsilon as a by default substring. Okay, so we are beginning with epsilon over here. Epsilon H, yes, it is a substring of hello. E is also a substring of hello. Then L is also a substring of hello. Then zero, sorry, not zero. O is also a substring of hello exactly. Then later H E E L double L L O Hell E L L L L O. Then again hell, fine. E L L O and hello. All these we are calling it as what? Substring of hello. Substring of hello, including hello. Hello can be called as a substring of itself. But just observe the proper substring. Each and everything, whatever we are writing in the substring, same we are writing, but excluding hello. Why? Because of this condition. Okay, students. Next. Okay. Next, third one, we call it as prefix. We already know prefix means what exactly. We'll see, okay, how we are going to utilize the concept of prefix in this ATC subject. Okay, we'll see. A substring X of a string XY, observe it carefully, a substring X of a string XY is called prefix. Okay, so here we got a string. Fine, we got a string called as XY. Okay, we got a string called XY. Out of this XY, X what we have, that we are calling it as a prefix. Means it is before the Y, okay, pre to Y, okay, that's why we are calling it as prefix. If X is appearing after the Y, we call it as suffix. Fine, okay. A substring X of a string XY is called prefix. The prefix always occurs from the beginning of the string. Remember, in the initial portion of a string, whatever we are having, we are calling it as what? Prefix. Okay, fine. Now, example, epsilon is a prefix of every string. Fine. Epsilon is a prefix of every string. Anything it may be. Okay. If your x value is equal to epsilon. Okay. If you don't have any value inside the x, then x value will become epsilon over there. Then what is the prefix of y? Epsilon. Okay, then apart from that, if you are having already some value inside X, okay, like ABC, okay, like then the prefix of Y will be what? ABC over there. That's it. Okay, now here, one more point we got. Every string is a prefix of itself. Observe it carefully. When it comes for substring, every string is a substring of itself. Now prefix, every string is a prefix of itself. Okay, here also we have the same condition. For a string hello, just observe, we got example over here. For a string hello, the prefixes are, okay, including epsilon. Remember, epsilon, H, okay, HE, HEL, HELL, then hello. Fine. These are all we are calling it as what? Prefixes. Okay. You need to begin from the left hand side of the string. Okay. First it will be H, then HE, then HEL, then HELL, HELLO. Okay. Then what exactly proper prefix stand for? Okay. Some condition should be posed for this prefix, then it will be called as proper prefix. Okay. What is that condition basically? Proper prefix, a substring X of a string XY, same we are having a substring X of a string XY is proper prefix if and only if Y should not be equal to epsilon. Remember this. Y should not become epsilon. Then X will be called as a proper prefix of, observe it carefully, then X will be called as proper prefix of Y. Okay. What is the main condition we need to observe here is Y should not be equal to epsilon. That's it. Y should not be equal to epsilon. Clear? Okay, fine. Now, for example, epsilon is a proper prefix of every string. Yes, obviously it is. Epsilon is common in each and every topic, whatever we are discussing under string. Okay, then for a string hello, the proper prefixes are, observe it carefully. When we were discussing about the substring and a proper substring, like hello is a substring of hello itself, but it is not a proper substring of itself. Remember, but here, same condition we are going to follow. Fine. We are beginning with epsilon. Here, for a string hello, the proper prefixes are epsilon, H, HE, HEL, HELL. But we are not including hello. Remember, HELLO. If you mention HELLO as a prefix, then this condition we are failing. Okay. Y should not be equal to epsilon. If you consider HELLO as a X, then what exactly Y is? We don't have any value for Y. Then Y will become epsilon over there. So this should not be violated. Because of that, okay, we will be leaving 0 as Y. So apart from that, whatever the right hand side we are having, that we are considering it as a proper prefix. Okay, because of this, here we got a note. Hello is not the proper prefix of hello itself. Okay, fine. Next, suffix and proper suffix. This is also exactly same. A substring X of a string YX is called suffix. So here, X we are targeting out of what? A string YX. I told you, right? If X appearing before the Y, then we are calling it as prefix. If it is appearing after the Y, we are calling it as suffix. Yeah, the suffix always occurs at the end of the string. Okay, we need to concentrate on right hand side of the Y. In prefix, left hand side of Y we were concentrating. Now reverse of that, it will be just like a mirror of prefix. Okay, suffix will work exactly to mirror of prefixes. Fine. Okay. For example, here, as usual, epsilon is a suffix of every string. Fine. Every string is a suffix of itself. Fine. Okay. For a string hello, the suffix is R. See, we are beginning with last. Okay, we are beginning with last. So O is a suffix of help. Then LO is a suffix of again help, HEL. Okay. Then LLO is a suffix of HE. Then ELLO is suffix of H. Then LO is a suffix of hello itself. Fine. This is what concept of suffix is. Then what exactly proper suffix stand for? Okay. Same condition. What we had in a proper prefix. Okay. Same condition we have. Y should not be equal to epsilon. That's it. Y should not be equal to epsilon. Means we need to execute this condition. Because of that, we are imposing this condition over here. Y is not equal to epsilon. Why? Because hello is not the proper suffix of hello itself. Fine. If you consider y as epsilon, according to this, what exactly suffixes are? Suffixes will be hello. Okay, then y will become epsilon. That should be avoided. That should be avoided. Okay, so for a string hello, the proper suffixes are beginning from the epsilon, then zero, sorry, then o, then lo, then llo, then ello. Okay, h should be considered as y at last. Okay, it should not be considered like y as epsilon, and it should not be making like uh, equal to zero. Okay, if it happen, then we are violating the condition of proper suffix. Fine. So these are the few terms under string concept. Next, we need to move on to a next topic called languages. See, students, we are already done with alphabet, that is represented by sigma. Then we are already done with string, which is represented with lowercase w. Fine. We need to go for languages. Using this alphabet and combination of alphabet, which is called as a string, we need to go for framing the language now. Now, let us see what is language. Okay, a language is a set of strings over finite alphabet sigma. Okay, finite alphabet. Remember this finite alphabet. There should be a finite number of alphabets specified in your sigma, like a comma b, or else 0 comma 1, or a comma b comma c, or 1 comma 2 comma 3, or open bracket close bracket. So these are the few alphabets which we are going to face in further topics. Okay, there will be a limited number of alphabets specified inside the sigma. Remember this. Okay, but when we are applying a closure property for the sigma, that is sigma to the power of star, then we can generate any number of, like infinite number of string combination we can generate. Okay, fine. Don't get confused. Sigma is different. Sigma star is different. Okay, sigma represents which are the alphabets available in this particular language. Okay, I told you example, like alphabets of English, like A to Z. Those are equal to the sigma. Sigma star means what? Using those alphabet, different combination we need to create. Okay, using that, what, how many number of strings we are generating? Countless, right? That is what we are representing under sigma star. Yeah, okay. Then formally, a language L is set of sigma star denoted by, sorry, subset of, sorry, formally a language L is subset of sigma star. Okay, means inside the language L, we are representing few strings which can be created from a sigma. Observe my words once again. Inside a language, we are involving few strings, only few strings, okay, which are the subset of sigma star. Inside the sigma star, we are having infinite number of strings. Remember this. Out of that, only few will be selected as a component of language L. Clear? Okay. So whenever we write it as a language, we are using capital L. Remember this. So here we got some example. Okay, for example, a language of strings consisting of equal number of zeros and equal number of ones. Okay, can be represented as, okay, here we are skipping L is equal to, okay, if you want, you can write like L is equal to epsilon, comma 0, 1. See, what is the condition? Number of 0 should be equal to number of 1, right? Okay, and we don't have a condition like whether 0 should be followed or like that. Okay, like first 0 it should be, later 1 it should be. We don't have such condition over there. They're saying like a language of strings consisting of equal number of 0 and equal number of 1s. 0, 1, yes. Number of zeros are 1 and number of 1s are also 1 over there. 1, 0, yes, equal. Both are equal. Number of zeros and number of 1s are equal. 00, 11 equal. 10, 10 equal. 01, 01 equal. 00, 11. So like this, we can get countless, infinite number of string pattern we can get. That is what we are representing under sigma star. But out of that, we are utilizing only few inside a language. Remember this. Then, language of string consisting of n number of zeros followed by n number of ones. Observe this sentence carefully. Okay. While writing the language, okay, in your exam, they used to specify these kind of questions itself. Okay. For that, we need to write languages on this pattern and we need to create a machine. That's it. Okay. Just observe the condition. N number of zeros followed by n number of ones. Remember, means 1 0 is not possible. 0 1 it is possible. 0 0 1, yes, it is also possible. Just observe this example. Epsilon, yes, this is what the basic string what we can generate from any alphabet. Okay, that is what the empty string we call it as. Okay, so 0 1, yes, it is possible. 00 11. See, 00 11 we are having means number of 0 followed by number of ones over there. Okay, n should be equal. Okay, 2 zeros we are having, 2 1 will be followed. 3 zeros you are having, 3 1 will be following. Okay, like that. Then a language consisting empty string epsilon is denoted by within a brace. Okay, epsilon. An empty language is denoted by null. Okay, so this is what the language is. And here we got few examples of languages over here. Okay, few questions they are giving. Okay, according to that, how languages can be written like that we are having. Okay, so example, language that consists in strings of A's and B's, where all A's precedes B. Okay, means A should be followed by B exactly. Okay, like number of A's and number of B's. Okay, regarding that, we don't have any condition. Okay, the language that consisting of the strings A's and B's, where all A's should be followed by B. Okay, one number of 0 can be followed by 3 number of ones over there. Okay, or else 3 number of 0 can be followed by 1 number of 1, or else 2 number of ones over there. Okay, like that. How we can write this particular language? Language L will be equal to a to the power of I, b to the power of j. Can I write like this? A to the power of I, b to the power of I. Here they are not specifying whether it is equal number of a's followed by equal number of b's or what. They're just saying like number of a's should be followed by any number of b's over there. Condition is what? A should be followed by b. Okay, so what we can do? A to the power of I, b to the power of j. Okay, where I is greater than or equal to 1 and j is greater than or equal to 1 exactly. Okay, so this is how we are writing the language. Okay, and one more example, language that consists in strings of A's and B's ending with A. Okay, ending with A. So before that, whatever may be the combination, AB combination, does not matter, but it should end up with what? A exactly. So observe it carefully. In these two questions, what is the alphabet we are using? What is the alphabet we are using? Here, A and B. Here also A and B. It is not common. In this example, it is common. Okay, but in other questions, we may get 0 and 1. We may get normal numbers. Okay, we may get open bracket, close bracket. We may get any other characters over there. Okay, so this A and B, number of A's and number of B's, A and B are the alphabets of, or else are the symbol of sigma. Remember, using this, we need to generate this string. What is the formula for generating this string? A to the power of I, B to the power of I. Okay, like this, any number of string we can create. Okay, that will be called as a language. Okay, when we discuss the problem, you'll be having better knowledge. So here we got few examples. We just go through this. Okay, then later, cardinality of a language. Okay, what exactly is cardinality of language stand for? See, these are all the first chapter questions, whatever you have. Okay, you can expect at least 6 marks question. Okay, remember at least 6 marks theory kind of question with example you need to explain. Yeah, okay. What is cardinality of a language? The length of a language is called cardinality of a language. That is, the number of members, observe it carefully, the number of members of a set is called the cardinality. Okay, here L is equal to, we don't have anything over here. Okay, so this will be called as an empty set, right? Okay, so null or as empty set we are calling it as. So the number of elements inside this set will be 0. Okay, when it comes for L which is equal to epsilon, observe it carefully, epsilon, the cardinality of empty language is 0. Here, this we are calling it as empty set, but this will be called as empty language. Remember, epsilon we have over here, epsilon we have. If we have epsilon, the length of this language will be 1. Okay, now one more example, 0, 1 if we have, what will be the length? 0, 1 if we have, what will be the length? 2 it will be. Okay, why? Because the number of members we are going to find, or we are going to differentiate using comma. Okay, 0, 1, 2. Length will be 3 exactly. Or cardinality of a language will be 3 exactly. 0, 1, 2 it will be. 0, 1 it will be. Epsilon, 1 it will be. Yeah? Okay. Then we got a few applications of theory of computations over here. Okay, so these are the a lot of application area where we can use this subject. Okay, use it first one. Use it to design language enabling machine-to-machine communication and machine-to-man communication. For example, network communication protocols, hypertext markup language (HTML). Okay, here all we can use this the concepts of ATC or as theory of computation. Okay, use it to design and implement modern programming languages such as C, C++, Java, Python, etc. Okay, use it to design vending machines like such as ATM, okay, communication protocols, and also use it in building security devices. Okay, then use it to design interactive video games. Okay, DNA molecules can be analyzed with the help of finite state machines and context-free grammars. Okay, then artificial intelligence. Okay, and many more applications are available. Fine. So this is what the basic of like why we need to study the theory of computation. Okay, why theory of computation chapter finishes over here. For the next class, we'll go to the bit advanced kind of topic. Okay, there we are going to discuss regarding FSM. Then after discussing the finite state machine, we need to solve problems over DFA, deterministic finite automata, then non-deterministic finite automata. After that, epsilon NFA. So that will cover your complete first module. Okay, students.